Welcome to the Invitational Webinar Contest at Online Presenters. My name is David Carr. I led this club to charter back in 2017 and currently serve as its VP of Education. Here we have something that we've been able to do on our own, which is invite in Toastmasters from around the world to participate in a contest to see who has learned not just to tolerate being on Zoom, but who's learned how to be really good at it. All 6 contestants will be invited guest speakers. We started out with 10 people who entered to be considered as contestants, and the 6 who you'll be hearing from tonight were chosen on the basis of video recorded speeches that they shared with us. But the idea is that there are distinct skills that apply to speaking online as opposed to speaking on stage, and that we ought to practice them, and that we ought to test them in something like a contest. And the challenges include certainly mastery of the technology, kind of the technical environment, but also just making that emotional connection. How do you create engagement with your audience when you're having to speak through a piece of glass to people who are far away and may be tempted to check their email if you don't keep them paying attention and unable to look away because you are so fascinated. Now, our judges will look for all the basics like good organization, but also specifically for things like how the contestants engage with the audience. And this is the scoring scheme that we use. We basically hacked the International Speech Contest. We added some points that are specific to audience engagement. How do you create that connection with the audience? We added some points to visual presentation because this is a visual medium. You can say being up on stage is a visual medium too, but it's a different visual medium. Jim Barber take over as our contest master and master of ceremonies.
Our first contestant this evening, Jessica Breitenfeld. Fight, flight, or sweat through your shirt. Fight, flight, or sweat through your shirt, Jessica Breitenfeld.
It's a cold winter's night. I'm snowboarding with the cutest, coolest guy in high school, Matt. And to get him to fall in love with me, I decide that tonight is the night. I see a 3-meter-high wall, and I think that is exactly what will impress him. So I speed towards the wall on my snowboard, and when I'm 3 meters in the air, it's great. I realize I do not know how to turn my body. As I lay there, Matt leans over me with a look of concern in his eyes. And the first thing I think is, man, snow is really hard. Doctors say to me, nothing we can do for your back. Your lower back, small bone, broke. You're going to live with pain the rest of your life. My entire life, I had dreams of becoming a mom like every small town Canadian kid, right? Husband, 2 kids, 1 mortgage. Ladies, you know, the simple dream. And that day, that dream was shattered for me. How could I imagine having kids if just bending over to pick up socks hurt me so bad? Because I had heard a lot of kids and some husbands drop a lot of socks. But I refused to listen to that doctor's advice. I took off. I left Canada. Not because it's cold, because it's really cold. Any of you been to Canada? I went on an eat, pray, eat. I can't see it. And then when I would run out of money from traveling all around the world trying to figure out how to fix my back, I discovered that I could just go home to Canada, Toronto, and waitress, make some cash, and then set off again. Say goodbye to the roommates, mom and dad, and fly off towards alternative cures, cracking chiropractors, poking acupuncturists, and those inner child therapists. And spent so much time in India that my balding, bearded, beautiful guru, Goenka, gave me a new spiritual name. Chicken curry Canadian. And sometimes Toastmasters. Sometimes that pain that had destroyed what I thought I would become, what I had hoped my life would turn into, that pain, it went away. And Goenka and I would dance under the sparkling stars. Life is life. Na, 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 na. Sing along if you know it. Life is life. And the pain always came back. And I learned a very important lesson, that sometimes you need to accept what life gives you. Toastmasters, judges, imagine your life and something you've had to accept. Something that you wish life had never given you. Now, think if you were able to adapt to it. Imagine you're in the woods with me. You're in Canada. Why would you go to Canada? I don't know, you have Florida, but you're in the woods with me and we see a bear. You are going to either fight, flee, or play dead. Now, it depends. What kind of a bear is it? If it's a black bear or a brown bear, there's things differently. And what kind of a Canadian would I be if I didn't know the difference between what you do to adapt to a different kind of bear? And you, Toastmasters, have you ever met a bear? Type a yes in the chat box if you have met a bear. No, yes, Jim. You decide how to respond. When the bear comes, you're going to be a good friend, kick me, and run away, perhaps. Now, I want you to take your arm like this, and we're going to be judging our adaptability to uncertainty. When the bear comes, you don't know what to do. Here, everyone, put your arm like this. This means you are not very adaptable to sudden bears in your face. This means, hey, yeah, I was born fighting. I could handle COVID, no sweat. On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, we are going to rate ourselves. Ready? Thank you for your honesty. Being adaptable was something that we all learned, and what I learned through those 22 years of traveling the world trying to fix a broken bone that wasn't getting fixed. As I stand here now with you today, I wish I were sitting, and I've learned something very important that can help all of us. Adaptability intelligence, the #1 skill of the future of work. 91% of HR managers said that this is going to be the skill that is going to change the way we work. And we can measure it now. As a coach and trainer and as a therapist, we can measure your environment. Maybe it's your boss that doesn't let you guys adapt very well. Perhaps it is the way you were born. Can we change that? Oh, yes, we can. We can make you more hopeful. And so as I learned through the 22 years of trying to deal with pain and realizing that some things we can't change, we must learn how to adapt. And I learned one word that changed the way I saw life. Unfortunately, I broke a bone. Fortunately, I got to travel the entire world trying to fix it. Unfortunately, it cost all my money. Fortunately, I won the lottery. Unfortunately, I did not. That one word, fortunately, at the beginning of my sentence, was the word that was able to help me switch from seeing something negative to positive, to adapt to a new situation. Try this out, your fingers like this, just flip it. If you can do that, you're under age 20. Very nice. And so we create the lab, and I would love to train at your online presentations, Toastmasters group, the 3 steps to becoming more adaptable. It has to do with but and end. And my name is Jessica. Thank you for being with me. And may your days be more adaptable and that you see the brightness in the situation that you get, the lemons that life gives you. May you thrive and adapt in the 3 steps with a yes and attitude. Contest chair.
Our second presenter, our second contestant this evening is Khalid Amin. Light a candle in the world. Light a candle in the world. Khalid Amin.
Do you remember when you were 10 years old? Mr. Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, distinguished guests. When I was 10 years old, I lived in Bahrain, a small island nation in the Persian Gulf. My mom, Safiya, was a housewife. She couldn't even read or write and was taking care of me and my 4 younger brothers. My dad, Muhammad, was a school dropout, a taxi driver, working in a faraway country to take care of to support his family. But I went to school where my classmates' parents were either teachers or government officials. Looking at them, I felt my future was destined to be very dark. Add to that, school for us meant 6 days a week, 7 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. And every day, as soon as the recess bell rang, all the kids ran to the cafeteria to buy their favorite food and drink. I had no money. I stayed in my chair, pretending to read my books. And my classmates would come and make fun of me. Your mama forgot to make you a sandwich today? Can you imagine how I felt hearing those words? They pierced my soul. They hurt my little heart and made me feel small. That was my life for the first 8 years of school. But then I went to high school and met a gentleman, silver-haired and very tall, my math teacher, Mr. Jamal. I was doing well in his class, but one day, when the class ended, Mr. Jamal said, "See me in my office before you go home today." Oh, what have I done? 1,000 thoughts raced through my mind as to why he wanted to see me. I was scared, but I had to go see him. Sitting behind his mahogany desk with piles of books in front of him, I was surprised to see Mr. Jamal smile. "Khalid, I know you're doing well in all your classes, but I wonder, have you ever given a thought to your future?" "What future, Mr. Jamal? I'm just trying to get through this week." After that, Mr. Jamal and I met regularly. We discussed many things, but mostly what I wanted to do with my life. Then one day I went home. "Mom, guess what happened today at school?" Mr. Jamal says I could be a mathematics professor. What do you think, Mom? Well, son, I don't really know what that means. But if your teacher said, it must be a good thing. That day I felt as if Mr. Jamal lit a candle in my life, and I could see my path in life. And with his guidance and Mom's encouragement, I finished high school with flying colors and won a scholarship to go to the university in the US. My academic journey wasn't easy, but it ended in triumph. And I spent a lifetime teaching mathematics at university. Today, some of my students come to me and say, Prof, my parents send their regards. They were your students too. And I ask them if their parents remember me well. Fortunately, they say, yes, they say you were a bright spot in their life. And they cherish the memories and are very grateful. In fact, this happens frequently enough that it makes me wonder how many candles Mr. Jamal lit. Now, I don't know the answer to that. But I am sure if each of us lights a candle in someone else's way, our world will be a little brighter, a little better, and more beautiful for all. I invite you to light a candle in someone's way, brighten someone's day. Light a candle in the world and experience light in your life. Mr. Contest Chair.
Our third contestant this evening is Melanie Chung. Take a ride on Aladdin's magic carpet. Take a ride on Aladdin's magic carpet. Melanie Chung.
I can show you the world, shining, shimmering, splendid. What if you want to travel the globe, then shook out your piggy bank and realized all you could afford was a staycation? Type a 1 in chat if you would like to meet new people. Kim says 1. Ray, Carla 2, Mansur, so many of you, just like me. Today, I will share how to connect with people around the world at the cost of a staycation. My name is Melanie Chung from South Africa, living in Sydney, Australia, and I travel to 146 countries on a magic carpet ride. If you have questions, please go to menti.com with the code 56292614 to add them, and we will try and answer them at the end. I'll put that in the chat for you. So where do we start? Toastmasters, find a club, will find you a place. The magic carpet of Zoom, or 10 cent in some countries, gets us across space to that place. But we need help with time conversion. And what's the first tool? Ta-da! timeanddate.com. Go to the time converter page. Then you go along and put in your city and You add the city you want to go to, of the club you're visiting. You set the date and time, and voila, converted. I now know that I'm going to be visiting online presenters at 9:30 a.m. my time. But there's a little catch. Beware. The first Friday may work out to a second Saturday on the other side of the world. So make sure you double check every time the weeks change. Once you decide it's a good time to visit, not 2 a.m. on a work day, go back to find a club. You click contact club, and then what happens? Sometimes nothing. Sometimes something really useful. And sometimes something foreign. Bonjour, Melanie. Our counter, that doesn't count in a foreign language. Guess what? Guess what percent of the world actually speaks English as a first language? Type your guess in the chat. There's some heavy thinking going on. 19, 20, 40. Well, that's very high because probably the closest is 10%. The percentage I found was 6%. Only 6% of the world. So we have to shimmy on down to our second tool, and that is Google Translate. Please come to the hotel at 6 p.m. Sounds a little fishy, doesn't it? Absolutely. If it isn't the voice of a cheery VPN. So you do reverse Google Translate and you say, no way, Jose. I am gazillions of kilometers away. Next time. The third tool to find the place your magic carpet's going to go to is Promo is our pal. Promo is our pal and Facebook is our friend. Really. One of my go-to groups is Toastmasters clubs with online attendance. You find a post from your favorite club or somewhere you want to go to, you save the post and the meeting links, and then you use tool number 1 to convert to your own time zone. Importantly, block it in your diary, your own time zone diary. And remember, it's quite easy to get muddled up when you're everything, everywhere, all at once. So another way is to use the Hansel and Gretel technique to follow the breadcrumbs from someone else's post to clubs in a city, country, or state to find other online clubs or real clubs that understand your version of English. So it looks like we're on the green light and we may have time for one question. Let me go and have a look at our website, menti.com, if we've got anything interesting. And what have we got here? Well, I think I probably forgot to move the slide, so we're a little bit behind on that. But Angela's put in, have you ever traveled to different Toastmasters clubs? And yes, Angela, I have. Probably close to or over 400 at the moment and still counting. We're getting to the yellow light and I think my time is up. And I would like to invite you to tell us in Menti if you've got, or else in the chat, the next place you want to visit. Any place in the world, where do you want to go to visit? Paul says Ireland. Australia, yes, Angela, come and visit me in Australia. Mansur, Australia. Andre, New York. Africa, lovely to visit Africa. I'll share your details in chat to learn more about Aladdin's tools. Using Aladdin's magic carpet, take your genius to new friends in this whole new world. Mr. Toastmaster.
Our fourth presenter this evening is Mansur Hasib. English. English. Mansur Hasib.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you for joining my English class. Have you ever been an understudy? Do you even know what it means? Do I study under the table? Under the bed? Or outside under the blue sky? Or do I simply study less? No other language in the world is as confusing as English.
True. That's true.
Ask yourself, why is common sense not common? And if it's not common, why do we call it common sense? Why do we call it social media? From what I've seen, people are most angry, hateful, and antisocial on social media.
This is true.
My troubles began as a child, after I had already learned a much more logical language at home. At school, my teacher said, PUT is put. However, BUT is but.
7,707.
I went, huh? She explained, I am big, but you are small. So I wrote it out. That extra T and comma in the wrong place. I bad. But I learned. One day, she brought vegetables to class, and I learned an eggplant doesn't grow eggs. It's not even a plant. Bay leaf has nothing to do with the bay. I had heartburn, but I learned it had nothing to do with my heart or with fire. I learned bigger words. Hanger, hanger. It's beautiful. So danger should be danger.
Exactly.
But it isn't. Why? I grew up and learned dogma isn't a dog's mama. Dogmatic isn't an automatic dog. A vegetarian eats vegetables, but a humanitarian doesn't eat humans. I came to America, and my friend wanted to show me American culture and take me to a gentleman's club. I dressed up in a suit and tie. He said, drop the tie. Only after I went in there did I understand why. No gentleman in there. It's not even a club. I stood in line at the grocery, and the British person in front of me asked, "Are you got mice?" I thought, what an amazing country. America, the land of plenty. They even sell mice at grocery stores. The clerk shot back, "No, sir. We have excellent pest control." Do you know a store where I can find some? No. Why'd you want such a store, sir? Are you from animal control? I want to cook with it. You want to cook mice, sir? We don't do that in America. No, not mice. Mice. It's a spice. Spice. Oh, mace. Row 42, sir. I got married, and my mother-in-law, who doesn't eat pork, came in from barbecue. And we had the hardest time convincing her a hamburger has no ham. And a hot dog isn't made of dog meat. What about words differences based on country? Do you know what a crisp is in the UK? In the USA, it's potato chips, because crisp is a cool breeze. But in the UK, chips are French fries. Is it because they hit the French? Someone please tell them French fries aren't French. They're American. I learned that in France. And now it's your turn to show us what you learned. Tell me, what fruit is this?
A banana.
Banana, na, 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 banana, na, 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 na. And in British English, what spice is this?
Mice.
Mice.
Mice. Oh, very good. And then what is this?
Mango.
Mango.
Man, go, 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 go. You are an excellent class. Great job, everyone. I give you A's. Wasn't learning English fun in my class? Thank you very much. Give yourselves a great round of applause. Contest master.
Our fifth contestant this evening, morning, or whatever is Roxanne Hosein. The power to change. The power to change. Roxanne Hosein.
Friends, do you ever make statements like these? Perhaps as I do. You stumble. I am so clumsy. You left the charger again. I am so forgetful. You made a simple mistake. I am so stupid. Using those reaction buttons below, if you have made statements like those, as most of us have, give me a green check mark. Green check mark. If, however, you're perfect, then give me a red X. All right, there we go. Ooh, I just saw a red X pop up. It went away. I'm going to take that thumbs up as a green check mark. Chris, the green check marks win. In fact, no red X's. If you don't already have it, turn around now and reach for a sheet of paper and something to write with. Today, you are going to learn how you can have massive change in your life in 3 simple steps with these 2 little words. I am. Step 1, create a new mantra. Time to write. Think of that change you want to have in your life, but don't write that down. Instead, write the opposite. Instead of clumsy, coordinated. Instead of forgetful, retentive. Instead of stupid, smart. Get it? We don't want to give power to that thing that we're trying to change. Of course, you are going to use whatever your own words are. Now put your imagination to work and envision what you want your new reality to be. Let's use lazy as an example. Instead of lazy, you'd say industrious. But what does that mean? What do you do or say differently? Flesh it out and jot down those ideas. Your new mantra might sound something like this. I am industrious. I apply myself to my tasks. When I see something that needs to be done, I step in immediately. I see it through to its completion and to a standard of excellence. I do what I'm supposed to do when I'm supposed to do it. As you write, keep these two very important aspects in mind. First, write it in terms of I am rather than I am not. For instance, instead of I am not lazy, you would say I am industrious, because the brain tends to ignore the words no and not. The mind hears the sentence and simply drops that negative reference, leaving you right back where you started. I'll give you an example. You're getting a two for today because this can also double as a parenting tip. I would say to my son, Jared, do not run in the house. All he heard was, Jared, do run in the house. Jared would come running in again. Instead, when Jared ran in the house, I said, Jared, when you're in the house, walk. Okay, Mom. The running stopped. Jared got it. The second and very important aspect is write it in terms of I am, not I will be or I'm becoming. You see, when you put it off to the future, the brain sees no reason to work on the change today. I'll give you a moment now to quickly pencil something, and then we'll move on to step 2. Now that you have your new mantra written out in the affirmative and the present tense, step 2, speak it. The Bible tells us of the power of our words to move mountains when we speak believing that what we say will happen. It is when the speaking and the believing align that mountains start to move. Therefore, speak it out loud. The point being to hear it, because the more we hear something, the more we believe. Step 3, persist. There I'd be lying on the sofa, leg up over the armrest, watching TV, and I'm thinking, I really should write that speech I'm delivering on Monday. I don't feel like getting up, but I know I should. So I start on my mantra. And my brain goes, you lazy liar. Who are you trying to fool? You must shut that voice up and keep at it. It won't happen overnight. But what will happen, you'll soon realize that you're beginning to believe what you've been telling yourself. You look back and wonder, when did this happen? Trying to mark the spot of when things turned around. But I'll tell you when it happened. It happened today. When you crafted that picture in your mind of what you wanted your new reality to look like. If I can get a brave volunteer, give me a show of hands, a brave volunteer willing to share your mantra. Come on, I'm looking for a hand. And I see, who is that? Evie? Evie Hartman, thank you. Please unmute and share what you have up to the first 3 lines. Go ahead, Evie.
I just have, I am focused. I am someone who finishes projects. That's all I have.
And that's all it takes, Evie. Let me tell you, first of all, thank you for sharing. But by saying it out loud, you have just set that change in motion, Evie. And if you do not grow weary, you will have what you just said. Friends, remember, with these 3 simple steps, with these 2 little words, you can have massive results. The most powerful voice in your life is your own. Use it. contest master.
Our sixth contestant this evening is Christopher Pritchard, upping your tech game. Upping your tech game, Christopher Pritchard.
It's not 1955. It's time to up your tech game. Every time some new product comes up, sometimes we're intimidated by it. It's for other people. And then we finally get into it. And then we don't realize that either we're behind the curve, or are we ahead of the curve, or do we want to spend money on this obsolete item, or do we want to make it better? So it's time to up your tech game and start with your Zoom. We're spending a lot of time on Zoom, and it's time to really make it count. It's like being on a television show. You are the star of the show, and things should look good. Lights, camera, action, or lights, camera, sound, and background. So let's start with lights. This is a little LED light. You can get 20 bucks. I've got a couple of them on me right now. Because sometimes you go to a room or you have a room where the light is not good. So make your lighting good. Nothing is more annoying than to see that fan whirling over somebody's head and that constant flashing during their speech. What's next? How about a camera? Upgrade your camera. It's not hard to do. This is an iPhone. This is a little contraption that can go on a tripod. Use the good part. Use the good camera. Don't use this one. Use this one. This will hook up to your Zoom, and you can use this camera and get the right angle. So then, if you don't have an iPhone, it doesn't take much to up your game. But what if you don't have that? You go to get a little camera like this. It can hook onto the top of your screen. I don't like that. It always gets an angle to it. Put it on a tripod. This is a little table tripod. And it's got a microphone that's not half bad. It's better than most of the computer microphones I find. But you can still do better than this, and for not much money. I'm about to show you the rig I use. I couldn't use it and show it to you, and so this is the rig I use. I'm going to turn the lights off real quick here. And this is the rig I use. It's got a standard Canon camera. This camera cost me about $399, which is not all that much. A couple of lights, a frame to hold the lights, and a microphone. This is a top quality microphone. How often do the microphones sound poor? And when you get a top quality microphone, you have to get a little cover for it because it picks up everything. Every little sound is picked up by the microphone. So this little rig, plus the tripod, got about maybe $800 in it. May seem like a lot of money. Believe me, people spend a hell of a lot more money than that on these cameras. But this just ups your game, and you wouldn't put your camera in front of your face when you're talking on Zoom. I learned that the hard way. But this really ups your game in the tech world. And what about the tech world and being intimidated? If you want to use YouTube videos, you can do it now. Too many people, excuse me, I'm going to put these back on here. Too many people are intimidated by YouTube and the editing software. It's very reasonable and sometimes free to get editing software and make a YouTube video that is top quality. It takes some work. Don't just do one and be satisfied with it. Upping your tech game will take your entire speaking ensemble to a new level. And let's talk about that for a second. And then I'll take some questions about this. When you see yourself speaking, you see what other people see. You see your mistakes. You see the things you used to do or that you do wrong. When I started, I would always do this. I spent my time tugging on my jacket. And I'm tugging on my jacket. Oh no, I see the video. Why am I tugging on my jacket all the time? Something's wrong with that. And I was smacking my lips. Why am I smacking my lips all the time? You don't see yourself as other people do. Also, you find out that you may not be pronouncing words or finishing sentences. You know, your brain moves a lot faster than your mouth. And I would find for myself that when I recorded a video, that I was rolling right along and not finishing a sentence. And that made the audience not understand what I was doing. And in my very first video attempt, I actually filmed the audience, and I caught a woman in the audience speaking to the woman next to her. I said, "What did you say?" And she said, "Well, you kept saying TLI and you never explained what TLI was." So you learn from your mistakes by having a record of it. It doesn't cost a lot of money to get a phone and take a picture. So if there's any questions about this, I'd be happy to ask. Raise your hand or just unmute yourself. I like to help you with your tech because it's not 1955 and we can really up our tech game without too much difficulty. Anyone?
I'll ask a question. What
Go
do you
ahead.
think about backgrounds, digital backgrounds?
That's a very good one. I happen to be a hater of digital backgrounds because if I would put my digital background on now and I back up, I disappear. At my house, I use the blur because I have cats and the cats are running around on the back. So blur, I accept blur. But if I had this on blur, I couldn't show you different things because the computer goes wonkus. That's really a word, by the way, wonkus. Yes, I think that if you can use a digital background, you should make sure that you do not back up, that it looks good all the time. Anyone else? Well, I guess I've covered it all. So I want to close with this. Don't be intimidated by tech. It's not 1955. This technology is here to stay. Zoom is here to stay. The computer is here to stay. And no matter what AI comes up with, your content is going to count. So make it look good. Mr. Contest Master.
Invitational Webinar Contest has now wrapped up, and hopefully Jim has offered congratulations to everybody who competed tonight. We had a great panel of people. You came in, you made this a better event than we could have made it ourselves. But now it's time to announce some decisions. And in third place, virtual drum roll as best I could manage it. And third place winner is Khalid Amin. In second place, well, you're going to see her face in just a moment. It is Roxanne Hosein. And in first place for the webinar contest 2023, the big one on an international basis, our first place winner is Mansur Hasib. Congratulations to all of our contestants. Well done, everybody, and thank you so much for being part of this.